Hi, my name is John, and this is S Class Media's review of Dragon Ball Super Superhero. I'm your host, John, and with
Yes.
me is Mason Vaughn. Mason?
Yeah, Mason Vaughn. I'm his co-host. You can follow me on Twitter at Mason Vaughn Died. But what are we going to be talking about today, John?
Well, we're talking about Dragon Ball Super Superhero, as you might expect, and this is a full spoiler review. We are obviously from North America. Somehow, through undisclosed means, we have seen this film with English subtitles. We watched it raw the other night, and then we were able to get a hold of a version with English subtitles. And we are going to talk about it.
Yeah.
We've been waiting for this film or any continuation of the Dragon
Well,
Ball Super anime since the anime ended and since the Broly movie had ended, and it came in
well,
a way we didn't quite expect.
yes, of course. And we got to also let's give a shout out. Our first video on this channel was covering the trailer of Dragon Ball Super Superheroes.
And it,
So it's kind of like a nice little sequel to our first video ever on this channel.
yeah, and if you've seen it, I think you could tell that we weren't super excited about the visuals in this movie, and
Uh,
that's really, let's just get into it. The number one biggest thing about this film is the visuals. For some reason, they've decided to take a totally different approach compared to their extremely successful visuals in the Broly film, with the visuals being supervised by Naohiro Shintani in the previous film. They've switched over to a 3D look for the first time in the Dragon Ball franchise, and me and you both are not very pleased with it.
I'm not a fan. Especially after watching the movie, I got used to it. I will say that as a positive, I guess. But I did not like it. I could have done without it. Just 2D animation would have been fine, just like in Broly.
Yeah, I think we were both at least pleasantly surprised that not every single scene looked like total garbage. There was
Yeah.
some decent looking scenes in the movie, but if they would have just been done in the style of the previous film, I don't think the visuals would be talked about in a negative light whatsoever. It would have been great 100% of the time instead of being great 50% of the time.
Yes, I agree.
Uh, but
What do you?
moving on from just the visuals, like I said, we've been waiting for a continuation in anime form of the story, and they went with a totally different approach from the last film. The last film kind of seemed
The
like it was
last
going for the more,
three films.
yeah, um, really, what they're going for this time is more of a comedic and lighthearted approach. And what is also a pleasant surprise, they finally, for the first time in many, many years, have gotten away from it being the Goku and Vegeta show. And they're
Oh
finally putting
yeah.
some limelight on some other characters, which is much appreciated.
Yes, it is so nice not to have to hear Goku and Vegeta training with Beerus and Whis all the time. Which I'm not saying you don't. You get a pretty nice little hand scoop of that in this movie, but it's they're not really there at all. That
Yep,
was just to say they're
this
in the movie.
this is the Gohan and Piccolo show this
Yeah,
time
definitely.
around. So let's just get into the movie proper. It starts out with a little flashback sequence of you know who the Red Ribbon Army is, and it gives you kind of a rundown. We all know this. Uh, it turns out Dr. Gero had a grandson named Dr. Hido.
Yeah, Dr. Hito.
And so the Red Ribbon Army, or the remnants of the Red Ribbon Army, and the main leader is Magenta, who's the son of Commander Red from the
Yeah,
original Dragon Ball, has figured out about Dr. Hito, and like his grandfather, he does an amazing job at creating artificial humans, cyborgs, androids, whatever you want to call them. And so he goes and recruits him, and he recruits them through the false pretenses of uh, he is able to manipulate Dr. Hito through telling him that the Z Warriors are actually a fanatical group of aliens that are trying to take over the world, who's led by Bulma and the Capsule Corporation. So that was a pretty humorous and fun
yeah.
little plot point that was done very well.
And oh, don't forget about Carmine.
Carmine actually is a delight. He's a new character. He kind of reminds me of the brains of the original Red Ribbon Army operation was Mr. Black, and it seems to me kind of like it's come full circle. Instead of Mr. Black being the secretary, but actually behind everything, you now have Carmine, who you could presume is really behind a lot of what's going on. I mean, that's not directly stated. That's just how I kind
That
of
is
thought of
also
it.
how I interpreted it as well. He was more of a shadow figure and behind pulling the strings.
He always he was proud of his video productions.
Yeah.
He put together all the videos and all the propaganda for the Red Ribbon Army and presented it to everybody, and made sure everybody knew it was directed and produced and made by and edited by him.
So if you were here to hear that, yes, this movie has decent elements to it, and you're fine to watch it, go right ahead.
Yeah.
We're not trying to stop anybody from watching this, to be honest. But we're gonna start getting there. Continue with your plot synopsis, though.
Yeah, so he recruits him successfully, and he builds a couple new androids named Gamma 1 and Gamma 2. Skip over to Gohan is working on a research study of a new kind of ant he's found that has some similar properties to a Saiyan, coincidentally, and how it glows yellow when, I don't remember what he said, if when he gets, angry or gets disturbed, or can't remember what the reason why. It's not important. Meanwhile, Piccolo and Pan are training, and it's shown that Piccolo takes on very much a babysitting role with Pan quite frequently, and
It's like a mutual thing. It's like a mix between babysitting and what he did with Gohan.
it's like a loving grandfather feel.
More than that, yeah. It's more like he wants to be there for it. Says it has to.
Yeah, and another fun turn of events is Gohan and Videl seem to think that a nice repayment for babysitting Pan is buying Piccolo's stuffed animals, which he is not entertained by.
And what's sad is we know they have the money.
Yeah, I mean they're the son and daughter now of Mr. Satan, one of the richest men on Earth. Yeah, they're just gonna buy him a stuffed animal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
people manage it.
so Gamma 2 goes out on a mission, and his first target is Piccolo. He tries taking out Piccolo, is fooled into thinking that he killed him. Piccolo is able to slip away. He's followed by Piccolo into the Red Ribbon Army base, and a very cool scene where Piccolo infiltrates, knocks out a guard, steals his uniform, and he's able to slip into the main boardroom meeting where they're discussing all their plans, and they're discussing how the most dangerous of this crew is Goku, Vegeta, Majin Buu, and Mr. Satan. And those will be their next presumed targets, although they don't know where they're at.
Yeah.
Moving on, they decide that they are going to go for Gohan, who they presume is the ringleader of the group because he killed Cell. And how they intend to do this is by kidnapping Pan and luring Gohan to their base. From there, they do this. There's a great scene. I guess before that, there's a great scene which me and you both really enjoyed where Piccolo makes a call to Bulma.
Oh, yes.
To talk about this plan he's uncovered. And he's hiding behind a bush, and he's discovered by a Red Ribbon Army guard.
Yeah,
and
this guy just goes, yo!
Yep.
He just goes, yo!
Yep. He's basically like, hey, what's up? As Piccolo's hiding suspiciously behind a bush, and it's just a great scene.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's so well executed and so silly.
Yeah,
it's such a good sight gag.
It's something that could really only work in an animation.
Honestly, well, yeah, and it's also one of those things that it reminded me of older Dragon Ball when it did that very tongue-in-cheek way of getting around something.
Kind of one of the elements in the film that happens next that I wasn't a huge fan of is because they're not able to get a hold of Goku and Vegeta due to their communications being blocked because an ice cream package was thrown on top of Whis' staff, and they're unaware that they're getting a call from Bulma. He decides to go to Dende, and in a strange turn of events, they somehow are able to alter Shenlong's power, and Shenlong is now able to grant the power to increase Piccolo's power, which seems like a pretty bad cop out to me in the story.
It is literally like in GT. Oh, the black star balls, they've been here the whole time. Did I not tell you? It kind of like, what, you could have done this the whole time?
Yeah, if you're just able to
And you're
increase
just
the
handing it
powers, increase the powers of the Dragon Ball at will, it's almost like the show's pointless now. Like
Yeah.
it's just a very poorly done plot point.
Which it
Anyway,
has
so Piccolo, yeah, Dragon Ball Super is full of contrivances and just awful things like this, and this is just another one to add onto the list. Either way, Piccolo unlocks his potential similar to how the Elder Guru on Namek was able to do to Gohan. Shenlong is now able to do to Piccolo. And
gives him a symbol on his back.
yeah, symbol on his back and a new transformation, which seems to just be called Orange Piccolo.
Oh, that's such a good Orange Piccolo.
And he's not even really
And-
orange. He's just got a more orange tint to the green in his
And
skin.
for the Star Trek fans out there, he looks like Tuvix in Star Trek Voyager, in the episode where he's made. So that's a deep cut.
It's a little odd. In a great, comedic scene. And like I said, this movie does have some funny stuff. For some reason, up until this movie, they've forgotten the fact that the Dragon Balls actually now have 3 wishes. I believe in all previous films to this, it's only been 1 or 2 every time. And then now, all of a sudden, it's back to being 3. Like it was supposed to be. Anyway, Bulma
I was confused the first time we watched it because without the subs, it was pretty confusing story. But the second time I watched, I was like, finally, that answers one of my complaints.
Yeah, definitely watch this subtitled if you can't speak Japanese, is what we recommend. But anyway, the other 2 wishes were basically done for Bulma's vanity. She asked for a tighter ass, and she asked to have some of the crow's feet removed from her eyes so she looks younger. Pretty much the same shtick from the last film.
Same thing since Dragon Ball, pretty much.
Yeah.
Not a boyfriend.
Yeah. She always has had this self-obsessive...
She's called a narcissist.
Yeah, a little bit. So, moving on. We are now getting to the point where, at some point, Piccolo is able to volunteer himself when he's undercover as Red Ribbon to go kidnap Pan. And so he picks her up and he has her play dumb to where she knows that it's Piccolo and they're going to infiltrate and she's going to pretend like she's being held captive. And this is all a ruse just to get him to make Gohan wake up and get out of his weak state of just studying all the time and get him to train.
Yeah.
So Gohan's made aware, and a great scene when he figures out that Pan has been captured. He gets super pissed, transforms into Super Saiyan, shows a lot of passion for his daughter.
Yeah, and I will say that is probably my favorite fight scene in the movie because it has purpose and it feels earned. Like, you know what I'm like.
By fight scene, you mean just him getting pissed and powering up?
Him just getting pissed and powering up. It felt like even the way they portrayed it, it made it even look urgent. So I do like that a lot.
And believe it or not, at that point, you're about halfway through the hour-and-a-half long film, and the story is over. There is nothing else past this point. The remaining 45 minutes...
one little evil twist.
Yeah, so pretty much from then on out, it's pretty much what you'd expect from Dragon Ball Super and from a film. It's pretty poor from then on out.
And the animation is not helping the situation. It almost makes the whole thing lame. Like, maybe I'm just me, but it seemed pretty lame. The animation.
It is lame. It was horribly done at some scenes. There's some scenes where it does look good, but that's the thing that we were saying earlier. If the whole thing would have been done in 2D, we wouldn't even be talking about it, except for the fact that it would have been great.
And actually, it hurts the movie.
It really does. But like I said, the story by that point is over. All you have now is them infiltrating the base and fighting.
Yeah.
The only developments from then on out are 2 things. Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 realize that the Red Ribbon Army is actually the bad guys and not the Z Warriors. And here we go with probably the worst movie villain that has ever been in the franchise.
Oh God!
Is the development of a android that wasn't ready but was released by Magenta. His name is Cell Max. Cell Max is probably the dumbest character to ever be in Dragon Ball ever.
I wish Toei wouldn't take this down. If I just want to show an image, but I can't. I can't do it.
Imagine Cell, but much bigger, and he's red. And
yeah,
it's
and they got a mixture of his
second form,
mm-hmm. His final form.
It's pretty awful. He has no dialogue. He's just a raging mongrel, kind of like Bio Broly was in a previous film.
Guys,
it's
so bad.
It's pretty awful. The last 45 minutes of the film are I would say are rewatching it is pretty unbearable.
Yeah, until that big money shot you see at the end, and I mean like digital money shot. Well,
let's get into that. There's a couple problems here beyond just the fight scenes being boring and there being no stakes. And the first thing that I want to talk about is once again in Dragon Ball Super, you have two things. Is the Orange Piccolo mode is a little lame, and Gohan's transformation and anger into a presumably, and we don't know because it doesn't say anything, a new form of Super Saiyan. It seems to be white hair, red eyes, and purple aura. And the
hair is so far back and spiky, and I don't know why they keep doing this. I don't know why everybody has to have a new transformation every freaking time,
In Dragon Ball Z, the transformations felt right. They felt earned, and ever since they've done the Super, it's just the colors. It's red, blue, purple, white.
While we're on the topic of transformations, I apologize for interrupting. Let's talk about Goten, and Trunks.
Oh, so what's really cool about this film is we've been waiting for a long time for them to grow up into the teenage forms, kind of like they're seen at the end of Dragon Ball Z. They finally hit that point, which there actually is a line of dialogue that Gohan says that basically says that Saiyans look young for a long time, and then they hit a sudden growth spurt.
Yeah, so there's some information which makes stuff make sense.
Which makes stuff make a little bit of sense, because in Dragon Ball Z, or in the original Dragon Ball, it did take Goku forever to reach that adult-looking model. And it's been like that with every Saiyan since. So you finally have this opportunity. They fuse, and you're like, oh my gosh, we're going to get to see adult Gotenks. This is going to be awesome.
Teenage Gotenks.
Yeah, and then you don't. And they do the same shtick that they've done in every single time. They turn into the fat Gotenks because they screw up the fusion. Now, let's count how many times have they done this. They did this in the original TV series, Dragon Ball Z, with against Majin Buu.
And then they had to wait out the time.
They did this in a couple other films. I believe it was done in Fusion Reborn, Goku and Vegeta, if I'm not mistaken. Please kill me if I'm wrong. I know they do it in the Broly movie, and I'm sure it's been done somewhere else. I didn't get to do my research, but I just feel like this has been done 1,000 times over.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And it's not really funny anymore.
It's not.
Now, to be fair, this is the first time it's ever served a purpose, because their fat body lands on top of Cell Max's head, causes a crack in his head, and then it exposes him later for the final Makam Sapo, however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
Special beam cannon in the English dub.
Yeah.
which is performed by Gohan, which was a nice scene. It's nice to see that move being pulled off. Piccolo does ask him, I never taught you that. How did you do that? And Gohan says, I've been practicing. So
Yeah.
basically, they take out Cell. Gamma 2 dies in the process, and the movie's over. I would say probably this is the most useless movie, the most useless story ever told in Dragon Ball history, even for just like a little film. And some of those original films
These
are 40 minutes long, and they basically have not much happen, but this one's felt especially useless.
It does feel useless, but it does. I will say, for me, it does harken back to those original films where they could pay attention to different characters. Now, I think the animation's unforgivable, and I think it's pretty lazy. I do not give it a praising score. I thought it was interesting. I wish it was in 2D, and maybe I would have at least enjoyed it. You know?
I guess one more positive aspect we could talk about was surprisingly, along with the visual change, there was a change in the musical score,
Oh
usually
my!
usually done by Norihito Sumitomo ever since the Buu saga of Dragon Ball Kai into Super. However, now it's being done by legendary Japanese composer Naoki Sato, and
And
I will say his score is pretty phenomenal.
it is it is aromatic. It fits so nicely, and it makes you feel emotions for this emotionless movie. So it kind of is wasted on this movie, but it does have some really swarming, like swirly moments go through it that are very nice. And
It
I
it
love.
does sound wonderful, and that's one constant with Dragon Ball. Uh, you can pretty much, for the most part, except for possibly Dragon Ball GT, count on the music always being an incredible high level production. Even Norihito Sumitomo in Super, even though he struggled in the beginning of Super, he made some great scores later on for that series, and his scores for Kai were
Yeah,
good as well.
and they were. I'll give them that.
So, my closing thoughts on this film was it had some funny moments, and it was pretty useless. I don't really care for it. It was nice to see Gohan and Piccolo and Pan do stuff and not have Goku and Vegeta hogging up all the screen time. They were there with Broly for one small scene where they're just training. It had no impact on the story. They just had to be in there just to be in there. Um, and it was nice to have feature other characters. I wish they would go back to that. Just like in the original Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, it was an ensemble show.
Yeah,
Goku was there a lot, but so was Piccolo, and so was Gohan, and Vegeta, and Trunks, and Yamcha, and Ten Shinhan, and Chaozu, and, it goes on and on and on. It's just an
yeah. Where's
incredible
our Yamcha
ensemble.
movie? Where's our Yamcha movie?
Yeah. Oh, can we also talk about this annoying thing they've been doing in Dragon Ball Super in almost every single arc when it would be extremely convenient to have Majin Buu there? He's just sleeping in every
Yeah,
single arc in every movie. Like he's just asleep and they can't use him.
I
This
know.
is
I know a lot of the fandom have something against Majin Buu for some reason. I don't see it, so I'm not gonna even talk about it. All I'm gonna say is I love Majin Buu and I want to see him in action.
Majin Buu should absolutely be one of the ensemble main characters, and the fact that they're not using him is a crime.
It's a detriment. It's a detriment to film of anime film. This
It,
wasn't it. This wasn't.
it's
This was.
it's pretty shocking overall. The whole Dragon Ball Super situation, from top to bottom, has been pretty poor, and it's amazing that after the Broly movie, where we were getting a lot of hope built up that they were finally gonna reorganize and come out fresh with a new perspective, instead they've gone back down the rabbit hole of stupidity with this
Uh,
film.
yeah. Um, yeah, I can give you my final uh, deals real quick.
Hmm.
Final takes. The movie is. He said it perfectly. It's about what, like 40 minutes or less story.
Right.
Um, on some bland uh, action and overall uh, a awful animation. Just to put it there, like I said, there are scenes that it does look nice, but it just keep it 2D. If
Yep.
you want to make a 3D movie, make a 3D movie, but make this 2D.
So in
Uh,
closing, I would give this movie probably a 3 out of 10. It's just pointless.
I would give it. I'm comparing it to others. I would say I would say a 3 out of 10. I think you did figure out. I don't think I can give it any higher than that. I don't think
Well,
I can.
so where do we go from here? We can only hope that in the future, whenever they decide to bring this anime back, whether it be Dragon Ball Super, whether it be Dragon Ball, whatever, they don't go this route. We hope to see the Super storylines wrapped up going into the end of Z, because as of right now, I feel like it is this main storyline, whatever it is, has not been satisfied. Um,
Sometimes though, you gotta let the bad die.
yeah,
That's what I
so
say.
we're we can only hope that they wrap up the Super storyline quickly, and we can move on to hopefully bigger and better things. But S Class Media, this is definitely not an S Class movie. 3 out of 10. Looking forward to the next movie being better. Also, we're gonna sign out now, and we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.